Hey, remember that iconic dancing scene from Joker in 2019? It brought up all sorts of bad memories for many of us. Well, this time, it's going to be a full 2 hours of singing and dancing because Joker 2 has been released, but it's a musical. Yes, you heard it right. The Joker is going to dance and sing for 2 whole hours. But surprisingly, the hype around it isn't even 10% of what it should have been. I mean, the first Joker won an Oscar, and now there's hardly any excitement for part 2. After watching the movie, I couldn't help but think, I wish I was one of those people who didn't even know there was a sequel. This time, the film shifts from the streets to a courtroom. The judge has a gavel, and Joker stands in the dock. The biggest question, though, is whether Joker and Arthur are the same person or not. If they are, both are facing the same fate, the death penalty. But here's the thing, Joker doesn't even exist. He's just a figment of the mind, a mental illness that caused chaos 5 years ago on live TV, something you and I are all too familiar with. A quick tip, if you're planning on watching Joker 2, you must have seen part 1 to understand it. Otherwise, it'll just be a waste of time. Also, the movie is in English and the accents are pretty intense. So, make sure you watch it somewhere with subtitles available. Now, Harley Quinn enters the scene in part 2, and comic book fans know she's about to bring chaos into Joker's life. If you've seen the trailer, you know that Joker's life is about to explode, quite literally, in the same courtroom where life and death decisions are being made. I don't want to spoil too much, but honestly, there's not much left to spoil. It's shocking how little story there is in this film. In part 1, we got to understand Joker's backstory and connected with his personal life, making us wonder what he'd do next. But sadly, in Joker 2, the story is completely non-existent. Believe it or not, 99% of people coming out of the theater are saying this is one of the most unnecessary sequels in the last 20 to 30 years. Remember how the violence meter in the first Joker was so high that critics were calling for it to be banned? Well, 5 years later, there are once again calls to ban Joker 2. But this time, it's the fans themselves who are asking for it, because this movie turned out so bad that even fans who watch the sequel won't want to go back and rewatch part 1. There's no action in this movie, not even the basic kind of chaos or anger. Arthur's in jail, and there was so much potential for iconic crazy scenes, but you'll just be left waiting for something that never happens. Even if we leave the action aside, maybe they focused on the emotions, right? Wrong! The film has no story, and the characters are so confused about what to do that the audience is left even more confused about how to feel. They've tried to introduce a love story between Joker and Harley Quinn, but it's shallow. Nothing deep or exciting. The songs in the film won't thrill anyone, although there are a couple of scenes that are fun to watch, especially the one where Joker smiles. I just wish the person who came up with that scene had directed the whole movie. Don't fall for those saying Joker 2 is an art film that only the intellectuals can understand. In simple words, it's just boring. There's no hidden message, no deeper meaning. After the climax, you won't feel a thing, unlike part 1, which made us feel 1,000 emotions. The actors are great, but even their talent can't save this film. If you took Joker's face out of the movie, it might even be more trolled than a Bollywood movie because it ruined the legacy of two legends. From me, this movie gets 2 stars, one for the musical concept, which sounded interesting but was executed poorly, and one for Joaquin Phoenix, who was born to play Joker. If the movie had been even 10% good, there would have been another Oscar in his hands. But the negatives? Zero story, poor direction, hard to believe Todd Phillips made this film, and the worst crime of all, making the audience wait 5 years for a movie that doesn't even feel like a Joker film. So, if you're a true fan, you won't want to miss it, but if you're just a neutral viewer, do yourself a favor and watch part 1 again at home. That's the real deal. If you liked something in this video or have any complaints, feel free to let me know.